So hello everybody, welcome to this next lecture on fuzzy logic. Today we'll talk about predicate logic, T-norms and S-norms. So last time in a lecture we discussed what is propositional logic based on the crisp two-valued logic and how it can be extended to fuzzy logic. But in the end I mentioned that somewhere propositional logic that is inadequate for the concept of fuzzy sets to draw an inference. To understand that, consider the two propositions. Let's say the proposition P which says all boys in the class are tall, and let the truth value associated with proposition be 0.9. Now consider the second proposition which says students in the class are boys, and the truth of this proposition be 0.6. So this truth I have already used as a kind of bridge between the propositions and my fuzzy sets so that I can apply that gradual or the range of values which I take for the fuzzy variables or the fuzzy linguistic terms in the terms of the truth value as a degree instead of only 0 and 1 as in the crisp logic. So we have already done that. But still, there is some inadequacy which uh, doesn't allow me to use it for my fuzzy sets. What? Let's say from these two statements, I can conclude. So if I see these statements logically, I can say all the students in the class, they are tall. Why? Because all boys are tall. It means if tall is a fuzzy set, which is specifying the height to be somewhere between, let's say 4'11" to 5'7", that is 4 feet 11 inches to 5 feet 7 inches. So my all the boys, they are falling in that category, so I can say my proposition that all boys in the class are tall. Okay, but there is another proposition which says students in the class are boys, which implies that there are no girls. Okay, so students are boys, so I can easily conclude that or infer that all students in the class are tall. So the criteria for being tall is satisfied by all the students in the class. So though it seems to be very concludable statement, but it is not so in the propositional logic. Why? Because my propositional logic doesn't recognize the quantifies as all. So if let's say if I haven't said कि boys are somewhat tall, most of the boys are tall, or almost all the boys or almost all the students are tall. So when I involve the quantifiers as all, most, almost, these are not accepted by my propositional logic because my propositional logic does not recognize them. So though we have extended the idea of propositional logic to a degree of truth, but still it limits me to make certain inferences or conclusions which may otherwise seem to be obvious because it fails to capture the quantifiers in the fuzzy sets. So the solution to that came as predicate logic. So predicate logic is nothing but it is an extension of my propositional logic wherein constants, quantifiers, variables and certain functions they are added which allow me to encompass or represent my fuzzy propositions or my fuzzy sets better in the form of propositions. So when I say constants, constants are something which are not changing. Example name. So boys not going to change. Let's say I can say Ram is a very good boy. So Ram it is not going to change. So good can be a fuzzy set. Okay. Next we says quantifier. So when I say Ram is a very good boy, so I have identifier, a modifier or a hedge to my original set good. So very is a quantifier. So I have put a quantifier. So normally I can capture this quantifier in the terms of these two symbols, that is, there exist, which can be capturing sum. There exists a class of boys, or there exists a boy, Ram, and this quantifier, the symbol which is indicated for all, this can also be used as a quantifier. Normally this is known as my universal quantifier, whereas there exists can be classified as by existential quantifier. Okay, so next we come to is variables. Variables are something which can be changed, or which is changing. So in my propositions, the predicates which are there, Ram is a good boy, Sham is a good boy, Vinod is not a good boy. So these are, you can say, the predicates which can change. So they are considered to be variables. Next we come to is functions. When I talk about functions, they are similar to predicates but in the form of some association which requires some truth values. So they can be related with some values. So let's say I identify an operation add. Add, it will take two arguments xy. So it is going to work on some function. So that kind of thing. So it is predicate only, but the predicate which is applying certain logic or certain operation on my arguments which it is accepting. Okay, so these are the few modifications. So I have three new symbols in which two are the quantifiers, and then there is if and only if, which is inserting the implication. Rest we already have the and the or connective which were there in that, and implication was also there in the proposition logic. So with these addition of these quantifiers, I am able to capture the fuzziness which is there involved with the propositions of the fuzzy variables. So let's try to understand it. How do we actually represent the fuzzy rules and the implications using this predicate logic? So let's say if temperature is high, then it will rain. This is a fuzzy relation which is there between temperature and the weather condition, you can say. So it may be a weather condition. So it is defining the relationship which tells me that if temperature is high, then it will rain. Okay. So just of the form, if x is A, then y is B. So in the predicate terms, I can express this relation as, or this implication as, A cross B, the relation, union, A complement and its relation with the output y. So what does this imply? Now to understand this, you should go back to the diagram where I had actually represented that how fuzzy implication and fuzzy mapping rules, they are different. So when I was talking about a fuzzy rule, so fuzzy rule was purely capturing this part in the form of relation A cross B as the Cartesian model. So if A's x is going to satisfy the condition of being limited to set A, my output y was also limited to the set B, or the range of values to B. Okay, so I was getting a triangular region which was there captured by this rule. But in the implication I told you, we have lot many possibilities. There were lot many possibilities which were open. So to find the union with those possibilities, I have introduced, or this additional term was introduced, which says where the ranges where x is not A, okay, and y is there. Okay, so the mapping where y can take any value but x is not A. Consider that, if you remember, I had just may I say this partition of my space. So this was y, and this side I was having my value x. So here my x was 1, here my y was 1. So let's say my a was having the range a here, and my b was having the interval range as b here. So sorry. So as I told you in the implication, when I say the implication gave me the possibility of all the values in this shaded region. Okay, the operation which is this. So all the values which are taken by y, that is all the values which are taken by y, and when it is not a, x is not a, so x is not a, so it means all these values, the ones I marked with a straight vertical line. So now what is happening is my fuzzy implication was taking into consideration all these values. So my entire implication is going to be measured by this. So my entire implication is measured by this rule, unlike the fuzzy mapping rule which was limited to this relation. So are we now clear what is happening? So we are actually making it a union with the this value which is going to include these values also. So this is my fuzzy implication which is capturing all the values or all the possible values. Okay, so this is how my predicate logic it is related to my fuzzy rules and to my implications. So let's say if there is a rule which says if x is a, then y is b, else y is c. So to capture that, what we do is, I can now do what? It says if x is a, then y is b. So if x is a, y is b, which is same as what was done here. But if x is not a, then y is c. So now I know that when x is not a, then my y is going to be in the range C or the interval C, or it is mapped to the fuzzy set C. So I replace this y by set C. So this can be captured by my fuzzy relation which is given by A cross B union of A complement cross C. So are we clear on this? Next, now we have understanding of this fuzzy implication based on predicate logic. Normally it can be expressed either in the form of generalized modus ponens, modus tollens, or a chain rule. So let's understand what are these generalized modus ponens and modus tollens. So these are, you can say, a kind of three rules which help me in the fuzzy implication process. So let's say for understanding modus ponens, consider a rule which is there in your rule base which says if x is a, then y is b. And now we are given that y is b dash. So what we have to infer is x is a dash. So this is what I already have, and this is what I need to infer. So when I am given the value of my consequent and I have to infer the value of my antecedent, then it is said to be the implication, it falls under the rule of generalized modus ponens. Next, if x is a, then y is b. This rule is given, and now we are given x is a dash. That is, we are given the value of the antecedent or the premise, and I need to make a conclusion of my output y. So what is I need to infer is the value of my output y. So this is what we need to infer. So In that case, I can say my fuzzy implication is going to fall under the category of generalized modus tollens. Further, there is another class of rules which applies to fuzzy implication based on this predicate logic, which says if x is A, then y is B. If y is B, then z is C. So we used to do this by compositional inference in case of fuzzy mapping rules. But here I need to infer this statement. So what I need to infer is if x is A, then I need to infer the value of z. So in such case, such kind of implication, it is said to be falling under the category of chain rule. Okay. So let's take an example. Again, we consider the previous example only. So where A, it was measuring the severity of disease on the scales of 1, 2 and 3. And so there is another set B which measures the membership of ages of the children. So if I want to see that what is the severity of disease according to the age of the children, I need to form a fuzzy relation. So as in case was earlier, by fuzzy mapping rule I could have done it simply by compositional inference. But in case of my fuzzy implication, I need to apply relation R, which where R is going to be given by, so here also we have a compositional inference, but here my relation R, it is going to be different because the possibility under the implication it is different. So I will apply this definition of relation R. This is known as my implication operation on my fuzzy relation R. So according to this, I compute the value of R. So first I calculate the value of A cross B. So first I calculate the value of A cross B. So this is from the definition of relation R, what we have done. And this is again from the definition. So here I take the complement of A value. So this is said to be my Mamdani implication, and I can draw the value of R as given to be this. Once I have R, I again apply my compositional inference as I used to do with my fuzzy mapping rule or the fuzzy mapping relation, and I could get the value of Vn corresponding to An. Okay. So what is the differences? The difference is how we are capturing R in case of fuzzy mapping rule and in case of fuzzy implication. Further, fuzzy implication that gives me the flexibility of using different implication operators. So instead of only using or limiting it to the Mamdani implication operator, which is the Maxwell operator, I can use the other implication operators also. So that is same as the Cartesian. So I can also use Larson implication operator or the Zade implication operator. Okay, so they have their definitions according to that. We are not going to go for that. And also the composition also, instead of going for the max-min composition, we can have max product composition, min-max composition, max-max composition or min-min composition. So with the fuzzy rules, my possibilities of drawing the or making an implication or inferences, that is enlarged, that is more. So I have a wider domain over which I can draw my inferences, and I have wider range of implication and the composition operators which can be applied on my fuzzy implication or the fuzzy inferences drawn based on the fuzzy implication rules. So I hope we understand that. So consider a rule base with the rules. If x is a1 and y is b1, then z is c1. Then Consider another rule in our rule base which says if x is a2 and y is b2, then z is c2. Now given that x is a dash and y is b dash, now we need to infer the value of z based on that. This is a typical example of GMT, that is generalized modus tollens. Okay, so let's say that we get a relation R1 which is from this first rule, and let there be a relation R2 which we get from this rule R2. Okay, now let the value of z which has to be inferred be denoted by C dash. Now C dash can be derived using the compositional inference between the Cartesian product of A dash and B dash, and the inference what we are going to draw is from what relations? From the relations R1 and R2. So both the relations they have to be taken into account, or it is use of both the operations. So it is going to use the maximum or the conjunction operation. So I take the union, so R1 union R2, which can be expressed as the compositional inference between A dash B dash Cartesian product and relation R1, and Cartesian product of A dash and B dash with the inference drawn from root R2. Let this inference drawn from R1 be denoted by C1 dash, and let this inference drawn from R2 be expressed as C2 dash. So we can get the consequent value, or we can infer the value based on this GMT as C1 dash union C2 dash. So this is how we can make use of GMPs or the chain rules to infer the value of the consequence based on whatever rules are available, or infer the values of the consequent as we can derive the value from the composition inference based on the fuzzy rules we have. Okay. So next we come to is T conorm and T norm operations. T actually stands for triangular. When I say triangular, it means it is going to deal with something which is 3 in number. So exactly here it is, you can say 3 dimensions or 3 intervals or 3 input spaces, you can say. Okay, 1 cross 0, 1. This is the input space, and from here we map to the output space which is of the order 0 to 1 interval. Okay, so they are nothing but they are operations which are helping me to map the values from the relation, that is we are able to infer the value based on the relation to my output space based on the current value of the input which is given. Okay, now T norms, which when I say, they refer to the conjunction operations, whereas T conorms they are referring to as disjunction operations on the fuzzy logic. So they are used for drawing the implications and the compositional inferences for deriving the consequent values, and they are based on the multi-valued predicate logic. So as such, T-norms and conorms they represent the combination between the different variables of the input fuzzy sets so as to form the fuzzy relations, okay, based on the fuzzy rules. So different type of operations can be there, but whatever is the operation to be used, it has to satisfy certain properties. First of which is a commutative property, that is the T norm, it has to be commutative in nature. When I say commutative, it means that if I find applying the relation between any two elements xy, it is same as applying that operation between two elements y and x. So the order in which we are using, that is not important. Next is associative. When I say associative, it means if there are three elements, so if I take any two because these are normally the binary operations, if I take any two operations at a time, any two variables at a time, the order of taking the variables, that is not important. So next is, it is a monotonic function, that is it should be either an increasing function or a decreasing function. It should not have any valleys or drops in between. Okay. So it is a continuously increasing slope function or decreasing slope functions. And the last is that the operation when applied between two elements whose value is 0 is always going to be 0. And if it is applied between an element and uh, any element x and another element whose value is 1, it is always going to return me the element itself, that is x. So the operations that are to be used for uh, this t-norm operations, they have to satisfy these values. So there are number of operations, but few of the commonly used t-norms, I can just list them here. First is the minimum operation, which we have been already using it in all our implications we have derived till now. Next is the algebraic product, which is defined as the multiplication of the membership values between the elements of two fuzzy sets, then bounded product, and finally the drastic product. So actually it is used to derive the fuzzy relation. Okay, so any fuzzy relation between two elements x and y, where x belongs to the fuzzy set A and y belongs to the fuzzy set B, can be expressed by an operation f or a base operation f, where f is nothing but a t-norm operation, and that can assume any of these values, though till now we have been using the minimum operator. So based on that, we have the different implication operations which are there. The first one is the Mamdani implication operator, which is based on the minimum value of the two elements, like we have been deriving for all the fuzzy relations in the past examples. Next is the Larson rule, which is based on the algebraic product operator. Then we have the bounded product operator, and finally we have the drastic product operator. So we have other uh, operators also, such as Hanushov product operator or Einstein product operator, but we are not listing or using all of these. Okay, I've just mentioned a few of them. Similarly, based on the union operations, we have the S norms, or we can say T conorms. So just like T norms, T conorms also, they have to obey certain set of value or properties. First is again the commutative one, which we very well understand that the order in which I apply, that is not important. Next is associative, that is if there are three variables, the order in which I start, because it is binary, so I pick any two, that is again not important. Again it should be monotonic, that is increasing or decreasing slope. And finally it says that the T conorm that should satisfy that the operation between any two elements whose value is 1 should always return me 1, and if I try to apply the T conorm operation between any element x and another element 0, the result is always given as to be x itself. Okay, so I hope we are all clear with that. So again, the commonly used S-norm operations are the maximum. So it is just opposite of the complement of T-norm. That is why it is said to be T-O-norm. So it is complementary of T-norms. So if it was maximum there, we have a minimum there, we have maximum here. If it was algebraic sum there, product there, we have algebraic sum here. So there was the drastic product, we have drastic sum here. There was bounded product T-norm, and we have a bounded sum S-norm. So with this, we come to this end on the lecture on uh, fuzzy implication norms, GMTs, and T norms and T conorms. Next, we would be starting with the design of fuzzy inference system and defuzzification. Okay, thank you so much.